Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for another episode of 911 Delta Tethered for Life. This podcast may not be suitable to all listeners due to language and subject matters. Please listen with care.
Hey guys, we are back
Hey y'all.
with episode 2. I'm Casey.
Yeah, I'm Anna. This episode is called One Ringy Dingy. 911 calls. That probably speaks to your heart. Because I can tell you that I can be anywhere in the world. And if I hear a phone ringing, I'm like, do you need me to answer that? Okay, so you either answer the phone on the first ring or you silence that B, but I don't want to hear it ringing.
Yep. And, you're supposed to answer 911 pretty quick. So one time it is. That's it.
Yes.
But we'll touch on that a little later in the show because we have a little fun later on.
Yes. And we should have made a list of like the amazing people that are actually one ring. Like, I don't know, they just sit in the right position at their console, or they, that they're just like boom every time, or maybe their hearing is like supersonic or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I was
But they're,
amazed at how some folks could just do that. I'm like, damn it.
yeah. And then you have the people that are deaf and
Yes, who don't answer it at all.
hear the phone ring for nothing.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm a little bit in between.
Yeah.
The first one wakes me up and then I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's me. That's my cue. Yes. Did you have a good week?
So I had mostly a good week. When our first episode came out, I was actually down in Florida with my two sisters-in-law and a cousin of theirs. And
Awesome.
we stayed at an amazing ex-dispatcher's house. So big shout out to old Nitro there for her hospitality.
Woohoo!
Wasn't even
Go
home.
Nitro.
And
Yeah.
she let us crash her pad, and it's amazing. Amazing location in Florida. So yeah, we had a blast. And then I came home and my kids are sick, and it's life again.
Back to the
So
real world. Yes. Well, I'm hoping that I get to crash old Nitro's house with you for our girls'
yes,
trips.
have to go back. It is
Yes.
amazing. We do have to talk the husband into installing a heater for the pool, possibly a hot tub too. But Mark, the pool heater.
Mock. Come on, Mock.
Mock. We need the pool heater.
Please.
Right.
Yes.
Anyway. But it's beautiful. Absolutely a beautiful place.
Oh, God. I bet. I bet it is.
So.
And she deserves it. They both do. It's awesome.
Oh, yes. I mean.
Very proud of her.
Yes. And I took some video for my husband because Mock has this amazing office that my husband would call the self-love room, and has all of his accoutrements from his public safety days.
Awesome.
Yes. And so of course my husband was like, I need a room like that.
No, you don't. Hush.
He has a wall. I mean, what more does he want?
Oh my goodness. Well, I had a pretty good week too.
Yeah.
Except for when my dog ran away. That was not cool.
Yeah, that was stressful. Yeah.
That was very stressful. But he is back home safe.
It's good.
All is good.
And you know that guy on TikTok, right? Did you get the TikTok that I sent you?
Quite a few TikToks that you sent, but
this is our mental health. We shared the TikToks back and forth. Oh yeah, but the one, the guy that talks about the certain ladies who rescue dogs.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Is that who he was rescued by? Or did he just come home?
No, he was rescued by someone that worked at the power plant where he was found.
Oh,
and
okay.
And she saw that I had posted a pic and stuff from the lost pet section. Yes, I did my own thing. And when I actually called animal control, y'all listen to this, they said, thank you so much for actually taking the time to look for your dog. Yeah, I know. I'm not calling you guys unless, I absolutely have to.
Well, right. And it's nice though when people call and say, "Hey, I'm out looking for my dog and it is a blah blah blah."
Yep.
Because then when somebody calls and say, "I found a blah 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 dog," you're like, "Oh." And
Hmm.
we always document it. And so somebody can even, search like, I don't know, white medium-sized dog or something like that and, see, or
Yes.
the animal control officers will often remember, oh, I
Hmm.
talked to somebody who was missing one of those. So, yeah, that was not our topic of conversation today.
No,
It wasn't a
it is
case
not. It is not
study,
so.
but good to know. And it
Yes,
does depend on how animal control works, in your area,
indeed.
but you can
Indeed.
always call and ask. Um,
So last time, we'll recap a little bit. The first episode, we went over what a PSAP was or is, which is basically your 911 center where 911 calls are received and dispatched.
well, maybe.
Maybe.
That's where
Yeah.
we should say that's where the call processing starts,
Starts.
right? So somebody
Yes.
answers your call and then does something with it.
Yeah,
Need some spooky music. Dun 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 dun.
we do.
'Cause I
Which
don't know where it might go
uh,
into the abyss now.
let's see. And we also discussed knowing your location and always having your local non-emergency number handy.
Yeah, because that number's good for things that are not immediately dangerous, they're not life-threatening, or questions. If you need legal advice, right?
Yes.
The law enforcement officers know the laws. That's why they're there. So if you have questions, call non-emergency, ask to speak to one, and they can help you out.
Yes.
So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. So that was last episode.
Yes.
So this episode, we thought we would get into what happens after your call is answered.
Yes, indeed. And also maybe the different types of centers and the call routing process once you get somebody on that line.
Yeah, because again, depending on where you are, it can vary greatly. And we're going to talk about a few different types of centers and how your call might be routed. But if you're out there listening and you work somewhere that's like totally different or you something, let us know because we don't know everything 911. Like,
No, we do not. Absolutely
um,
do not.
it's so I'm going to talk about later in the episode where I just learned something I didn't know. That apparently everybody in the country should know, but I don't know if they do. And so this is government work, right? Whether it's federal, local, whatever, it's all the same. We
Hmm.
we don't all know everything that's happening. Um, so what happens when somebody calls 911 and you get a call taker who answers your call and says 911? They might ask you, what is the address of your emergency? Where is your emergency? Do you need police, fire, rescue? There's like a bazillion ways that the phone could get answered,
Yes,
but answering that first question is hard.
it
You
is.
know,
For most, it is hard for most.
yeah, and we should do a whole episode on that, or at least a segment of an episode on why is it so difficult for people, Americans in general, to answer one simple question.
Yes, we
Yeah.
should,
Anyway,
for
so
sure.
listen to the question that is being asked, answer it, no extraneous information.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple question, actually.
Yeah. And
Simple and very important. Yes.
yeah, very important, simple question, and then move on from there. So, case where we worked, give us a general overview. Then what would happen?
Well, gosh, it's been so long. No, I'm kidding. So we would first off determine if this is truly an emergency, and most times, if it was not, which normally, I mean, a good portion of the time it was not, you would be asked to contact the non-emergency number. But then, if it is an emergency, we need to determine what type of response is needed. As far as if it's a fire call, rescue call, a fire and rescue call, or a police call. Because our agency that we worked for did it all. We had everything together,
Right. And
dispatched.
and and also if you called back on the non-emergency number, you'd get us too.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just freed up that,
But it frees
emergency
up a
line.
911.
So, I mean,
Right.
that's the whole point
So
of it.
but yes, we're a do it all kind of place.
Yes. Yep. And then we would just put in the call information, send it, whatever priority it needed to be. If someone needed to go lights and sirens, or if it was just call could be in queue for a little bit and wait, then we go from there and ask whatever appropriate questions for the situation.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
then the designated once you put all that information the into the computer system, the call kind of it gets what we call sent. So it
mhm.
gets pushed through the software system, and then the appropriate dispatcher can see it and
Yep.
dispatch the appropriate units to it. Now, some places, they can see the call at all times when it's being taken, before it gets sent, etc. Again, it depends on the locality, depends on the software systems you're using. But
Which I really hope someone does reach out to us because, that's kind of fascinating of thinking of other ways other than what I was used to because I did it with the same agency for 16 years. So, I mean, that's all
right,
I
I
knew.
mean,
So to hear all this other stuff, it's kind of cool.
yeah, and
Um,
the first agency that I worked at, we were the PSAP, but we only dispatched fire and rescue. So we asked you what the address of your emergency was, and then what was your emergency, and if you needed police, and no fire rescue services, we transferred you to the sheriff's office. And I
that
can't
just
tell
is
you
scary. Ooh.
like how many people would be angry about that. Which like I get that it's delaying. I
Mhm.
get it, but at the same time, I can't help you.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So yeah, so it's interesting, the many ways that 911 is done around the nation. And you could be, for instance, I have a friend who actually trained me at my first agency, who works out in Colorado and is solely either a fire or a rescue dispatcher. Maybe he's trained on both. I can't remember right now. But anyway, they basically sit in a cubicle, wait for the call to come to them, and then, you know, talk
wow.
to whatever. And then fire is completely separate from rescue. Um,
Phew, that shit just blew my mind.
right. And
But
so, yeah, it's
I,
really interesting. And then, I thought that, for instance, I figured is this place out in Colorado, which is probably a bigger jurisdiction than we're
right.
used to, but is not
Mhm.
huge. I figured, New York City, right, would be like that. But my husband listens to a podcast called Getting Salty with a bunch of firemen and from New York, and they're saying that on 9/11, so I don't know if it's changed, that was 20 plus years ago now, but for all you youngins out there that don't know what we're talking about, uh, in 9/11, 2001, when the planes hit the World Trade Center, that they had like two fire dispatchers.
Whoa.
Wait, what? And
Yeah.
they're taking the calls, like the calls are being transferred to them.
Oh, fuck that. No,
Could you imagine? And they
no.
had like the one guy or girl, I don't know, the one dispatcher was getting off duty and, saw the call volume and sat back down, put their headset back on. What could you freaking Oh my God.
Mm-mm. Man,
So,
kudos to them. That's
all right.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was flabbergasted when I heard that. I just could not believe that this was not and like I said, I don't know. So if anybody out there works for New York City, any of the boroughs, I don't even know if it's combined or if it's I don't know. But I would love to hear how that works
me
because
too.
um
That's fascinating. Well, just the bigger city in general would be, whew,
yeah,
I don't
and I
know.
I took a class one time with a guy who worked out of the Buffalo area and they have like a regional center there. So it's like
Okay.
several areas in one. And that was interesting too. Um, but there's a couple places like that are kind of local-ish to us that
Hmm.
dispatch for multiple jurisdictions in one center. Um, so it's so interesting that it's so different. But I guess basically what'll happen is somebody will take your call and they will decide what type of services you need,
Hmm. Yep.
and then it will get sent to possibly get sent to an appropriate dispatching service for that need. Or maybe it's a one-man show because there are still those in this country
Yes, there are.
where they answer
That's
your call, they dispatch your units, and they're talking to you and talking to the units on the street as well. So
wow. Yeah, that's I can't imagine that either. Jeez, oh Pete.
I mean, I've kind of been there when the first jurisdiction I worked in, there were only two of us. And so when your partner goes to the bathroom or takes a smoke break and you know, you
Yeah.
get an accident and you start getting a whole bunch of calls and
Yep,
you're
that's when shit hits the fan for sure.
exactly. And we used to have this we had a the door to the outside was secured and we had a button to let people in. So if said partner was out smoking or just taking a break, whatever, uh, they would stay within earshot of the door so that you could click, 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 click the door. I'll let them know that you were you were dying inside.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. And we used to have well, I mean, lots of places still have these, but the wireless headsets.
Yes.
And we actually had ones where you could also answer the phone. So occasionally, if like somebody would call out or they were late or whatever, and you were stuck there by yourself and you had an emergency bathroom issue, yeah,
Going with you. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
So that does still happen in this country. There are places where it is a one-man show. Um,
But I bet you wouldn't know it though. I'm
Probably
pretty
not. You
sure.
would not know
Yeah.
it, but you need to appreciate that.
Yes, kudos to those folks too. Woo.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so do you have your own 911 story case? Have you ever had to call or
Um, no, I can't really recall me having to call 911 really. I ever since I'd worked in public safety and dispatching and stuff, I really never felt like anything that I've ever experienced was like a, well, I guess that's a little untrue, isn't it? Um, was really an emergency. So, um, yeah, no, even if I like drive past something that, you know, what normal people would call 911 for, I don't. I just I don't know. I mean, unless you're dying or something, I mean, you're not supposed to. So, no, I don't guess. What about you?
So I don't recall ever having to call 911. I have been transported in an ambulance once. Um, and we can talk about that in a later episode when we talk about rescue. Um, but my I have been guilty of children dialing
Yeah.
911.
Yes.
It's only happened twice, and both times it was from one of our vehicles that has the it's not OnStar, but it's whatever.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And the first time I was unloading stuff from the co-op horse feed, and I took my phone with me on purpose. Like I'm like, my truck is parked by the shed where the feed goes, and I'm taking it out of the bed into the shed, like two whole steps. But I take my phone with me because I'm like, I know these trifling kids are gonna, and at this point, said child was like 18 months. But I'm like, he's still gonna get out of his seat and he is gonna, you know, be wandering around up there. So I take my phone with me, but I hear this ringing. And so I've got like a 50-pound bag of feed in my hands, and I'm like trying to throw it down and get my phone out of my pocket, and it's not ringing, and I'm like, oh my God, where's that ringing coming from? And about that time, I hear 911. What is the address of your emergency? And I'm like, oh, it's coming from the
Man,
truck.
gotta
And
love
so
it.
I like, try to run back over there. And meanwhile, he's just having a full-on conversation. And I'm like, oh my God, I am so sorry. I gave my information. No problem, whatever. Um, the other time I think they did dial it from my phone. Or it may have been from my truck, but our locality has a smart 911 system. So anyway, they had my cell phone number, and I have terrible cell phone service. My barn is sort of down the hill, and you I can get text messages sometimes in and out, but I cannot make a phone call. And so their calls were not going through. So they were heads up enough to send me a text message. And I'm like,
Well, that's good.
yeah, no, I'm not having an emergency. I'm sorry. I think my children hit the button in the truck again. God help me.
Damn
Um,
children.
yes, but they have been told that they are to stay on the line and give the address and do all of that. What they don't understand is that they don't need to have a full-on conversation. They just need to answer the questions.
Get off the phone. Oh
But they
God.
think it's cool because, mommy works in the same kind of place, so they want to know
Mm-hmm.
all about, you know,
Of course they do. Yes.
and my younger one, he's 5 now, but he will always, do you have a police officer there? Does my school resource officer work there? Do you know him? Do
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
So
Cutie
anyway,
teens.
yes, those are my
That is
experiences. I
great.
have been that person, but I do stay on the line and I do respond, so they know not to send somebody
Yes.
out here.
And that can definitely be another whole like show with children
It
playing
could
on
be. It could be. And just an
911
accidental
because
misdial, right?
whew,
Because
yes,
it happens all the time. It's not a big deal.
all the
Um,
time. Yeah.
but it could be a big deal. And I live kind of far out, so it's a long time, like especially if I live in a place where we have deputy sheriff. So if they are coming from closer to the town area, it can be a while before they would get here, and I don't need to waste somebody's time
Absolutely
for
not.
that.
Yep.
There are probably real emergencies happening, and my children wanting to see a police officer. So
Does not count.
not count. They can go
Oh
see
my
them
gosh.
anytime they want. Um, so yeah, so that those have been the two that I can remember. I'm also not a big caller. I will call non-emergency, if I feel like, there's something that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed, but nobody's looks like they're
Even that's like really pushing it for me. I don't know. I just the things that people call in about in general, it blows my mind.
I was trying to find us like a good 911 call for Halloween. Maybe something that was kind of funny because we know we get crazy calls on Halloween.
We do.
And
We
I
love those
didn't,
Halloween full moon calls. Yes. Nights.
yes, because it's
Even
not,
days.
yeah. Is it going to be a full moon for this Halloween? I don't know.
The 28th it is. So
28th is
that
the full moon.
is
Oh, so
Saturday.
we're building up to that now.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's why I was driving
Good
around
luck to all
today.
the shifts working this weekend because,
Yes, may the force be with you.
yes, indeed.
Oh, and I'm working Saturday.
Oh, well, there you go. Right
Yeah.
on the full moon. There you go.
Good job. Good job. Did not plan that out very well.
You did not plan that out very well.
Well, maybe I'll have
Not
some
at all.
stories then. Oh my goodness. Hate when I do that to myself.
Uh,
Anyway, so this call happened in Michigan, and there's a lot of things we can talk about after we listen to it. It's nothing,
yes.
I don't think, too disturbing. It's just a driver saying that he thinks he may have hit someone. So stand by.
Well, let's go.
October 31, 2015, 9:44 p.m.
Wow. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe Oh my God. Oh my. Turn lane like I know. And I'm calling right now. Oh my God. I cannot fucking believe this. I cannot believe this. Oh my God. No, I mean, you got hit again. This is fighting. I cannot fucking believe this, man. I cannot. Oh my God. As soon as I seen her, she was come out of I wasn't speeding. I was just turn right there.
Picture 911.
Oh yes, this has been an accident on Ellsworth in front of Silverleaf.
Okay. Injury?
We need emergency right now. I mean, I'm the person involved in the accident. I hit somebody
Okay.
in the turning lane. We need somebody right now. We
Okay.
can't find the person.
Okay. You can't find the person?
No, so I hit her. I guess it's a girl. I'm hearing them yell Samaya. I hit her.
Alpha 39, you just heading up to Ellsworth and Silverleaf for PI accident. Okay. I'm sending you over to HCA. Stand on the line, please.
All right.
Whew. Such anxiety. Darn. Whew.
So apparently he thought that he hit somebody Halloween night, which could be very easy to do when you're driving.
Yes,
People are running
absolutely.
to and fro all over the street. The number of times the phone rang was definitely anxiety raising, but
Yes, that.
you can hear when she picks up the phone that they are still ringing in the background, which says to me they're having a high call volume. And also, it
Yes.
sounds to me like she is a patrol or law enforcement dispatcher
Mhm.
because she starts talking on the radio, which probably means she's not a primary call taker. Just
Hence why she answered, because them phones are blowing.
right. But yeah, but good on him for knowing where he was, man. He was
And
bang
he
on
was
that.
fairly calm.
Yeah, and he was fairly calm.
For what he was trying to report. I'm not sure
He
that even I would
was.
be able to be that calm if I knew I hit somebody.
But you know, we say that, but how many crazy calls have you taken that were legitimately crazy that the person was hysterical?
Mm,
Like for me, the crazy calls that I can remember, the person was always weirdly calm and they answer all your questions. And that for me, that's like red flag number one. If I'm like, what's the address of your emergency? And they're like Ellsworth and wherever,
yeah.
tell me exactly what happened. And they're like, well, I think I hit a girl. And you did a what?
I'm not sure that I've ever had anyone quite that common, like a true, legit,
Really?
holy shit emergency.
I
Like,
feel
I
like
think
every
pretty much
holy shit
everyone
emergency.
has been hysterical
Oh
to the
yeah.
point where it's like, what?
Yeah, see, I feel like I'm
Yeah,
maybe it's me. I don't know, but I feel like, I always get like the super calm people and then they like bust out with you're like, "Well, wait, what? What did you say?"
yeah. Well, it's
Interesting.
kind of like too, like only the true, real emergencies you get like one phone call, like one 911 call,
Right.
instead of the phones blown up for some bullshit stuff.
Right. 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 Right.
But like the
And
true, like life-threatening, oh my God, I can't believe I just took that call type of call,
right.
you only get one caller for that.
One.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
that's
And also noted that in the recording, the phone's ringing. Nobody's answered it yet. It will ring more times on the caller's end than it will on the 911 end. That's just how the system is designed. And those recorders are designed to pick up as soon as the numbers hit. So
mhm.
anything you say before the
It's
phone is picked up
recorded.
is recorded, as you could hear. So, just in case you murder somebody, um,
Yeah.
you know, and then you want to try to call 911 and pretend like you didn't murder them, don't say that you did pre having your phone answered because it's going to be recorded either way. Just saying.
Which is pretty cool
It is
how that
pretty cool.
works.
It is pretty cool. Um, yes. So
Um,
that was like probably a legit call for Halloween.
yeah, yeah, that's pretty much how the night. Well, I mean,
But Halloween can be busy because
just a
um
lot of stupid, suspicious, like creeper van
yeah, I mean
calls.
my favorite was there's a guy driving around in a minivan following a bunch of kids and they're riding their bikes and the back of the minivan is open and he's like driving really slowly behind them. And of course, it's busy. Like this is not a high priority call because I'm fairly certain that this is not some child abductor stalker.
Hmm. Right.
Okay. And sure enough, we're like 2 minutes into the call or whatever, and the kids like put their bikes down, go to a house, come back, throw their bikes in the back of the minivan, all pile in, and they drive off.
Yep.
Right.
That's pretty much the entire night of Halloween calls right there.
Right.
Some dumb shit.
Yes. 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 And did you hear about that call though, within the last week or couple of weeks where I think it was down in North Carolina and the guy was like dead on the lawn and then the lawn people mowed around him because they thought he was a decoration?
Yes, yes, that's whew.
This is what I don't understand, people. This is what we can't.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I just actually saw something that when I was looking up some things where somebody had some really cool Halloween decorations to where it looked like it was like some LED lights, like a smoke blower thing and
Oh yeah,
like
the one guy
a
had like a
regular
flame thing.
box fan.
Yes.
Yeah, and people, I mean, but to see it, like you guys need to look that up. If shit, I don't remember where it was though.
I'm pretty
But
sure
that
that
shit,
you could just YouTube, because I know the one with the
yes,
house looked
yeah,
like it had flames. That one is on YouTube. It's quite
yes.
funny.
I mean, it looked like
Even the
for
firefighters
real.
were
Like I
initially
would have.
fooled. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it did look
hilarious.
like for real. So that was something I just saw before we started the episode
Yeah,
tonight. Actually, I was like,
yes.
whoa. Um,
Which
I
that
think
reminds me of not typically a Halloween call, but often in homes that are under construction, when they put the drywall up,
oh
they
yes, I know where
then
you're going with this.
yeah, they then burn this nifty thing called a salamander. I didn't name it. I have
Yep.
no idea. Um but people will call and say this house is on fire, and then, um so if you're fire dispatching or taking 911 calls, it's always good to know where the new construction is in
Yep.
your
We
locality.
had quite a few of those. I remember I have taken a few of those
They are
calls myself.
quite common. Yeah. Yeah.
One call that we had, someone had um, wrote in and wanted us to share a story of a call that they had before. So it's kind of a gory type call that would fit along with our Halloween segment here. It was a convenience store. It was after midnight or so, and someone I guess had went to the convenience store as a customer and walked in and found the clerk of the convenience store. Um, it looked like something I guess out of a horror movie. The clerk was I think stabbed or beaten or something with a piece of wood, and then the person took the hot dog tongs and stabbed the clerk, who did end up passing away later on. But apparently, that scene was pretty horrific to the point where the units that responded had to, keep going out because it was pretty rough. So,
And can you just imagine, like, not only have you've just committed this heinous crime for probably some stupid reason,
hmm,
then now you have traumatized all of these people.
yep,
I mean, this poor person who just went into the convenience store, the poor family of the clerk. I mean,
yes,
and
awful.
kudos, like convenience store clerks that work at night by themselves, like
Ugh, yes,
probably the bravest people on the planet.
yeah,
I
especially this
mean,
day and time. No way.
yes. I
I'm not
mean,
even sure it could be any amount of money that I couldn't do it.
no.
Very scary
Um,
stuff.
yeah, and you know, it's things like that, we don't necessarily see. I mean, I obviously everybody that saw that was traumatized by it, but you can bet that that caller, the trauma that they were having was in their voice, and the call taker was
Hmm.
taking that on because they're imagining, it's like reading a story. You are imagining what the scene is. So you might be imagining it
Yes.
way worse than it actually is. Um, and that's hard. And then imagine if you're taking that call and in the meantime the phone's ringing off the hook in the background.
Yep.
So now your anxiety is way up there because
Yes.
you need to help this person. You need to do what you can do, but you also, like, the phone needs to stop ringing because your one ringy dingy
Hmm.
alarm is going off like mad.
Yes.
So this is the stuff, and it seems maybe kind of silly to somebody who hasn't lived it, and you're like, well, just let the phone ring. And some of us have an
Yeah.
easier time of doing that than others, or you can block it out. But every person's different.
Yeah.
So
And that's really not reality to just let them bitches ring. I
right.
mean,
I mean, you
you just
can't,
can't do
right. I
that.
mean, you got to pick it up at some point, right? So, um,
Well, if
which
this tells you anything, this actually took place in like 2016, and the person who reached out to us still remembers this call like it was yesterday. So
right,
that goes to show how traumatizing it is or
right,
was.
right.
So,
And so, yeah, and then, that also, like, in the call that we just listened to, I mean, if you feel like, and I've actually had this complaint made on me, so if you feel like that person was not as maybe compassionate or as empathetic as you thought they should be, it may be because there's something else going down,
mhm.
or there's a lot of something else is going down. So just give them a little grace. We all like to listen to the calls and be like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that, or I can't believe they acted like that, or why aren't they answering the phone? But it's
Yeah,
usually not because of neglect or because we don't
yeah,
want to.
there's a
There's other
reason
things
for sure.
happening.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I don't really know if we should thank them for that story or not.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And yeah,
It is. It is. I mean, but unfortunately, that's the
all the
reality.
way around from the call taker and the dispatcher, who I believe was the same person,
Or at
to
least for part of the call, she may have been.
right to the person who walked in on that, to the officers involved.
I mean, to the
Yeah,
ones that,
the
right. I mean,
victim that's himself. Yeah,
right. I mean, because you've got the officers that would be there first, and then you've got detectives that are gonna be, I mean, it's just a cascade of,
hmm
as my dad would always say, shit rolls downhill. Um,
yes. And
so
that could not be more true for dispatching and public safety in general, because
right. Yeah. Um, so that being said,
Mhm,
we had some good input, like our listener story, and then
mhm.
some good reviews. And most of them were positive. Thank you guys for that. Some of you
Yes,
gave some suggestions.
which is
We're
awesome.
working on those,
Yep,
right?
and I had one who was new to podcasts, which I totally get, and new to like public safety world in general, and was kind of confused that we were kind of all over the place, with just a whole lot of different topics our first episode. But as like I told her, I said, well, this is our comm center. This is what we're making this as. And in a real comm center, well, that's basically what goes on. Like, you're just talking about every damn thing you can think of.
Right. And
So, I
sometimes it's
mean,
like a
you are
pinball
all over
machine,
the
right?
place.
Like you go from hanging out at the bottom and then you get shot to the top of the stress level and then back down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all over the
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
So that's why we want to make this our comm center, because that's what we're talking about, and that's kind of like why we are a little here and there. Um, it's not to confuse anybody or be like, what? I thought we were talking about this. Well, we are. But,
But
you know, that's our multitasking that we get, I guess. We just,
yeah, really hard to sit still and do one thing. Really hard.
yeah, for sure. So,
Mhm.
and that goes along with conversation when there's not anything going on. So,
Yeah. And then I want to shout out to Jess, who's an amazing dispatch human.
woohoo! Yes,
Um,
she is.
anyway, and an amazing human too, for her review because she introduced me to the Nina Enhanced PSAP registry. I didn't even know that existed.
I
How
did
is
not know that
it,
existed either.
right? How is it that, these things exist for dispatch and we don't all know about them. And they're not like right in front of our faces when we're at work, because this system allows you to search for other PSAPs in the country and
Pretty
like use
amazing.
addresses and stuff. And yeah, and not use Google.
Wow, imagine. Well, most people that call don't use fucking Google, so.
Well, no, but then we're using Google,
but I mean,
right?
for us, yes, yes.
So, yeah. So thanks, Jess. That's awesome.
Thanks, Jess. That is awesome. And
And
I've got a couple shout outs too, this go round. If you are finished,
I
with
am
that,
finished with my review of the week.
Make sure. So shout outs to Emily, Lisa, Tabitha, who's also known as Sassafras, and Miss Brenda and Miss Tammy. Thank you guys for the feedback and listening.
Yeah, and for listening. Woohoo! And next week,
we're
gonna delve more.
This is gonna be a big one, guys.
Yeah, more into mental health.
That's huge, 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 huge.
And the number of people, not just dispatchers, but fire, rescue, police, whatever, law enforcement leaving public safety, and some whys and how that's shaping out for everybody. And it'll be great because it'll be after a full moon week on Halloween.
Which might make those numbers go up even more.
It might. It might. So, yeah. So if you are not a public safety human, be gentle over Halloween and the full moon weekend.
Yes, behave.
Yeah, we understand. You get a little crazy, but and if you see or talk to your public safety people, thank them. Thank them for
Indeed.
We thank them every day.
Yes, we do. It's amazing folks out there, those first responders. Indeed. Until next time, guys.
Till next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the 911 Delta. Oh, crap. She already fucked up. All right.
We'll break it in easy first before we get to the real deal later on.